everyone, welcome back to the Shift Podcast. I'm your host Ricardo, and this is where inspiration meets leaders, mentors, and the everyday person who wants to bring a change in the lives of people, helping them shift their mindset so that they can move and become even better, greater versions of themselves. Today, we're having this amazing person that I've met maybe 3-4 years ago, but fantastic. Her name is Nikki. She is joined, and she is one of the people I can definitely say has really inspired and continued to inspire my life. So welcome.
Thank
Nikki,
you.
welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And yes, to kick us off on the show is we've got this signature question that we always ask. It's called the Shift Podcast, but what does the shift mean to you? How important is the shift to you?
It's a good question. It's a big question to start with.
To start off, yeah.
What does the shift mean to me? I think the shift is something that's happening all the time. I think we're constantly shifting into different versions of ourselves. So for me, the importance is about bringing more conscious awareness to that. So recognizing that we are constantly shifting and being aware of, well, what version do I want to shift to? And I guess that's my life's work really, is about helping particularly children and young people to go through those shifts in a positive way and to bring awareness to it. Wow. So it's not just happening to me, but actually I'm in control and I can decide which version of myself am I going to be now and in the future. And how can I make that transition really? Wow,
the conscious awareness that is constantly, there's evolving happening, changes happening, and I get to choose.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if you get to choose, then there's empowerment there, right? And I think we often, in work, particularly with young people, we talk about empowering young people and we need to empower them. But actually, I think that's false. I think we all have our own sense of power within us. And it's not for us as adults to empower kids. It's about to create the conditions so they can connect with that power themselves. Wow. Because it's already there, right?
You're right.
It's there.
Wow. That's deep. That's fantastic. So in terms of, like, maybe for the viewers and listeners, how would you describe who is Nikki? And just a little bit of a background.
Who is Nikki? Somebody who's constantly shifting, I suppose. Yeah. So I'm a writer. I guess I would call myself a social entrepreneur. I've always worked with non-profits, either in non-profits or leading them. And somebody who wants to particularly, like I said, work with children and young people and support children to be all that they can be. Yeah. So my background since I was early 20s is working with children, particularly in schools and communities here in the UK, for a while in the US, and my writing reflects that as well. So my books are about kind of education and supporting kids. That is definitely my passion.
And that's why we connect, isn't it? That's why we connect, because it's about it's about sharing, but it's also like what you were saying about the empowerment. It's bringing them into creating that for them, and they can just jump in and they can find their own shifts in that. But what does conscious intelligence mean, from like what you were saying in the bio? I'm quite intrigued by the conscious intelligence.
So this is something I've been thinking more about since COVID. Just thinking about what is the world that we need to create, or what is the world that we are creating, and how far away are we from where we want to be? And it feels like there's quite a gap at the moment. And when I was early in my career, I was working a lot in schools. Emotional intelligence became really big. Yeah. So quite a while ago now. So everyone was talking about emotional intelligence. We started embedding it in schools, and I thought that's amazing. We need that so much, and that kind of social emotional awareness. And how do I show up in relationship? How do I connect? How do I understand my feelings? All of that is so important. So for me, that conscious intelligence is like the next level to that. So yes, being aware of our feelings, our emotions, being able to articulate them, being conscious of them, and our relationships with others. But it's like that next step, really. So it's about, for me, about bringing presence to each moment. So being aware of being aware, as mad as that might sound, and thinking about, well, who am I in this situation? Not only, what am I feeling, but what is the choice that I have to really consciously choose how I'm enabling other people to feel as well. So my energy interacts with your energy, right? And then there's a kind of spark there and a transfer of energy, whether it's positive or negative. So for me, that conscious intelligence is a bit of a buzzword, I suppose, but it's about bringing awareness to the things that we do and who we are in each moment, and shifting from, I guess, the idea of ego, which is kind of like identification with all this stuff outside of myself, to shifting to who we really are at our core, like that authentic sense of ourselves, if that makes sense.
Wow, it does. This is the stuff I'm talking about, when it's not just, you're not just giving answers. There is so much. I'm speaking to you, I'm just thinking like, wow, being conscious of being conscious. And how do we bring that into the space for, how would you then teach young people or children that, or even teachers or parents or youth workers, how can we kind of create that?
I think at first thought it's quite difficult, because we're all on autopilot all the time, right? We're thinking about, well, this is my role as a parent, or I'm a teacher here, or you're the child, I'm the adult. We're just living on autopilot. So I think it's about bringing sort of presence to that process and thinking, well, let me just pause a minute. Can I set aside those things that I think I am? Because actually all those things that we think are our personality or our identity, like our political leanings or what sports team we support, or our job title or whatever else, that's not who we really are. They're just labels that we've chosen, and they shift as well, don't they? Because and we're seeing that right now, because people's political leanings are shifting and changing. The world is like in a constant state of flux. So if we put all those things aside and we just connect in that moment, particularly with children, and we can just be alongside them and bring that sense of presence. So it means kind of dropping all our own agendas and truly listening, I think. And then that child, that young person, can really feel and sense that. So it doesn't mean that you're no longer the parent or the teacher. Those boundaries and those responsibilities are still there. But actually we're operating from a different perspective, and it gives that child the invitation, I think, to meet us there. And children are really good at that. Like they're less in their heads than we are. They're less fixed about who they are and their sense of identity. So actually children in that sense are our teachers of all this process.
Wow, this is good stuff. Because I'm speaking to you with the mindset that, as I'm writing my book as well, it is powerful stuff that you're saying, because mentoring from the inside out, it's the sense of, I need to empower myself, like you say, empower myself to be maybe more consciously, actively listening, being conscious of when they come into the space, I don't know with what they come.
Right.
They are scared even to share. Will they find a trusted adult to create this? Even before we give information or advice, is do they feel safe to come into the space? And it's powerful, because when they begin to share, they don't necessarily, or did not necessarily, share that with another adult, uncle or auntie or teacher, and then they come into the space, and it's so life-giving, isn't it? So life-giving when a child says, I trust you. And you think, wow, a year ago you weren't even there, because the ego is not about me. It's about me being that, providing that space for them, and being conscious. And I like that, being consciously intelligent to be, I'm going to show up for you so that you could find things in you that you didn't even realize you had. And then step back and let them
have that process. And I think that's something you do so naturally. It's just who you are. And I think if we can enable more adults to understand that process, because I suppose for us it means setting aside our own fears and anxieties and stresses and vulnerabilities. Like it's a vulnerable position to be in for you as the adult to say, I'm just going to create that space. And I suppose when kids trust us, it's not only with what they say. They don't just start kind of sharing things about themselves and their lives, but also they can bring that really negative behavior, right? Because they do that with an adult that they trust. You know, I've spent my career working with kids who would be labelled as kind of troublemakers or disruptors or, you know, and there's so much underneath all of that.
You're right.
And then, you know, when they're in that sense, that space where they feel the sense of, I can trust this adult to hold this, that's when it all comes out, right?
You're right.
So, you know, it's a gift as well as a challenge to do this kind of work. And I guess you see this all the time.
I see it all the time. And just like off air, when I told you earlier that when I was in the school in Leicestershire and the teacher said to me, stood on the side and she said, that was so good because you didn't come with an agenda. And I was thinking, like, she doesn't even know me, but I guess the delivery of it, it came more from heart. Yes, I've got the information, but it comes from, I want you to succeed. And I want you, I know potential in you years from now. And I always talk about bigging up my bro, Ruben, behind the camera, is the thing of, I can see 10 years, 20 years ahead for him. But is the tools I need to give him, let him see for himself.
Yes.
That is what he carries. And she said, you came with no agenda, you just spoke from the heart.
I love that.
And I said, wow, just spoke from the heart. And she said, like, you didn't come because you were looking for validation, or you're looking for, oh, you're good, or you're looking. It's literally just, and I call myself like an Amazon delivery guy. Right? I just drop
on
it
time.
Off. Yeah, on time. I just drop it off. You don't see no delivery guy say, hey, let me unpack or unwrap your gift for you.
Just here it is.
Here it is.
Yeah, I love that.
And then I go home. You know what I mean? And it's that what you're talking about there. It's such a gift, and there has to be longevity in it. There has to be, you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And if Ruben decide, listen, we are done now, then that's good. Because he's discovered that he has found another version of the shift, of evolving, and this now needs somebody else in his life.
Perfect.
And so therefore it's, I'm done for this.
Yes.
But I might meet with him in 5 years' time. And it's just that conscious intelligence where you know, yeah, this is where I am today.
Because there's no ego in that for you, right? Because the ego would say, well, hang on, I've put all this effort in and I've done all this and, you know, he owes me, or you know, all those kind of stories that we tell ourselves when we become too attached to things. And that's not who we really are.
Yes.
And I think what you're describing is that perfect example of, you know, creating the right conditions to allow people to flourish. And it's not our job to make them flourish.
You're right.
It's an invitation.
It's an invitation.
And then you step back. And
Exactly.
it's up to them whether they're going to, you know, and that's so hard when we work with young people, I think, particularly because, you know, you can see that potential and you want them to be that person you can see them to be in the future. But actually, I don't have control over that. And when we start controlling, I think that's where it all goes wrong.
See, that's it. Because even the good thing you're trying to bring is not what's needed in that moment for them. And I heard this story about a guy who said his dad said he needed to become a lawyer. And so he worked hard towards that, but all he wanted to do was racing. And when he graduated, the father was so happy. That's my son, and he's jumping up, that's my son. And then when they gave the, certificate or whatever they give to them, he then gave it to his father and said, you have reached your dream, that's it.
Oh, gosh.
And then he went to do what he wanted to do. And so I was like, wow, all that years, for the father was like, he's going towards his discipline, he's doing this, but that wasn't him. You weren't conscious of what is it that he wanted to do. And he could have used all that time and energy into this. And then all of you could have celebrated.
Right.
But you don't want bragging and celebrating now, but the son is like, no, that's yours.
And really that example is quite unusual because what normally happens is that you just carry on, right? That the son would have just carried on down that pathway because to then make that shift and to hand over that certificate and say, actually, this was for you, not for me, that requires that awareness, but also the courage to say it. And what most of us do is the opposite. You know, we just follow that path and then we wake up in 10, 20, 30, 40 years and realise our life wasn't for us.
You're right.
And I think on a different scale, this is what our education systems are doing, is kind of pushing our kids through this process of, you know, get these qualifications and, you know, become X, Y, or Z. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we don't talk about passion, we don't talk about purpose, we don't talk about who are you as your authentic self, and what does that self really want to do in the world? How do you want to show up?
You're right.
You know?
Yeah, you were talking also about, like, in your bio about systems and tools, and then you were talking about values as well there. You know, if you could choose a system, what would it look like for you in terms of, like, in the modern day school with conscious intelligence? What would that look like for you?
That's a big question, and it's also a big dream, because it feels like we're quite far away from it.
Yeah.
But actually, I think there's hope. So for me, that kind of reimagined school system, if you like, is centred on each individual child's needs, which may sound ridiculous. Like, you know, we've got hundreds of kids in a school, thousands, how can we do that? But I think actually, if we use technology properly, you know, I think this is the way that things will go. You know, each child eventually will probably have like an AI tutor who can deliver the knowledge, the information they need, and it'll be perfectly tailored to them and their needs. And, you know, if they're neurodiverse or if their learning style is different, you know, there won't be that one size fits all. So I think that will be a part of it. And then what does that mean for the role of the teacher then? I think the role of the teacher then becomes about that personal development, that coaching, that mentoring, that values-driven education, which is what you do. And it just shifts everything. So that teacher's not bogged down with all of the paperwork and all of the marking and the, you know, let's cram these kids' heads full of knowledge when they know they can go and Google it in 2 seconds. There's a disconnect there, and our kids are already feeling it. So then education becomes about, you know, a values-driven, really conscious process where the teacher has time to interact and build relationship. Because that's what we need as humans. We don't need to become like little robots that are never going to be as good as the actual robots. You know, we need to connect with our own creativity, our initiative, you know, problem solving, all the things that actually employers say they want that we don't teach. Generally speaking.
No, but
because
that's
there's
true.
no time. It's not the fault of teachers. It's just there's no time for that.
See, that's good, because now in terms of like even looking at AI, you think, like even when you said it, I was thinking, oh wow, yeah, that's good. So you become coach, you become a mentor, and you become a facilitator.
Right.
That facilitation is like, hey, how's that going? You know, tell me more about what's happening. Hey, miss, I found this out. Okay, great, keep going. And it becomes a facilitator where you yourself know, like, I'm consciously becoming intelligent. And this is what you mean. And so I was intrigued. I was thinking, like, if she could create something, what would it be?
My magic wand. But I think, you know, also it's about bringing creativity back to the process of learning. You know, actually, if we gave young people the opportunity to work on real world problems, which is what they do in some of the best schools where the classroom size is small and, you know, there's a lot of money to support these kind of things. So we are already seeing this, just not on a general level. You know, then we're looking at, well, how can we solve these problems that are meaningful to these young people? And how can we learn skills and put them into action along the way? So maybe we're looking at climate change or, you know, thinking about entrepreneurship or, you know, whatever it is. And then through those processes, as a child or a young person, I'm learning about, well, what am I passionate about? What am I good at? What do I want to kind of put out into the world? And there's a sweet spot in the middle of all of those things, which might be, you know, for me, it's that idea of having a spark. And that is that kind of expression of who I really am. Instead of, you know, you're not very good at maths or science or what have you. So we're going to put all your energy there and you're going to focus on the thing that you hate and you're not good at, to the detriment of all the things that you love doing and you're really passionate about. That's what we do right now. So, you know, it's not to say that we don't need to give young people a certain level of education across the board. Yes, we do. But where is the focus on passion and purpose?
You're right.
It's missing.
It's missing, because what I find in most schools, behavior is our thing. No negatives. And attendance. Is that your objective? So where's the development of emotional or conscious intelligence? Where is the time where we have healthy disagreements in class? If a teacher says 3 strikes and you're out, no, I'm not out. I'm staying. What do you mean I'm out? How about you had 5 strikes and you're not out?
And that never happens, right? Because of the hierarchy and the adults are in the control. We've got all the power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How about healthy debates?
Right.
And still keep, because that's in the real world. You will have these debates and people disagreeing, like you're saying,
Right.
I supported this team and now support this political party and now I've switched over.
Right.
And it's kind of like, so what are you switching over for? Oh, maybe because you are built on values and they started with values and then they missed the value. Now you're moving over to this and people think like you're sitting on a fence.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking for the values-based things. So with young people, with me, when I speak, and like you can ask Ruben as well, I invite, if you disagree with me, please bring it up.
Right.
And then you better make sure that when you bring it up to me, that it must be values driven, that will help me see a greater light.
I love it.
So it is not just, I disagree with you and you're why? I don't know. Really? You don't know. You just don't know. But you just want to disagree.
Right.
Like, what is really happening in you? What is the frustrations in you? What is the arguments in you? And now you just got nothing.
Well, now we got all these people going, becoming keyboard warriors, and I'm just going to share on social media all my opinions, and it's us and them, and they're the bad people and we're the good people.
Yeah.
Because we haven't taught any of these things as skills.
Yeah.
And there's no space for it. If you try to disagree as a young person with a teacher, you're right, you're out.
You're out.
And I understand that the teacher has to maintain the environment in the classroom. There does need to be boundaries, and all those things are important. But where's the space for then learning how to manage conflict and how to express your feelings, as you're saying? And a lot of our kids are living in homes where there's so much conflict. Oh my gosh. And that creates that early trauma, which then obviously gets expressed in various ways in the classroom, in the community.
Yeah.
And we just brush it all under the rug.
Yeah.
So the things that you're talking about, I think they're so vital. These are skills, again, coming back to that social, emotional, conscious intelligence. These are skills that you're going to need when you go into the workplace.
100%.
And you disagree with the person sitting next to you. What are you going to do then?
What are you going to do that? I was, as I did my workshop yesterday, and I was asking the kids to try and pronounce Ubuntu.
Okay.
So I always say, hey, have a go. So now there's kids like, Ubuntu? And now the people are laughing. And I said, no, don't laugh. If you are laughing, it means then you telling me that you know how to pronounce it. Or even if you did, he's stepping out. He's doing great.
Right.
And one day when you go to work, you will speak for yourself and you'll step out.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for doing that.
I love it.
And then everybody's like, oh, so it's not. And I said, you were laughing, but he was right in pronouncing it. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, actually you did. It's like, yeah, but you didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that about, I'm trying to empower him to say, and then he stepped out another time. And I said, well, good on you as well. That's the skills we're talking about, because bullying, he didn't know. In one school, that boy did, another boy did it, and he was shut down. And I just stood there for some time and I said, this is an object lesson right now. I said, no, he stepped out. You didn't step out. You didn't step out at all.
Because it takes real vulnerability to do that. There's courage and there's vulnerability there.
Exactly. And he didn't want to say anything after that.
Yeah.
And I went to him afterwards and said, listen, I'm proud of you that you stepped out there. And you know what? Most of them who are laughing won't have this intelligence that you stepping out. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. And in school, we don't have that and say, teacher would say, I don't have time to do it. It's like, you don't need time. You just need to do it through your values.
Yes.
Done.
I love that. I love that. And actually, we don't talk about that at all. But even becoming aware of what actually are my values. First, you need to start there. And then, am I expressing them? Maybe not. But how do I express them? And how do I create that consistency? And all the research says that what young people want from a school environment, or just generally, is a sense of connection and belonging.
Yes.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's what every human wants, right?
100%.
And we're trying to find it in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah.
And often that can be really negative ways.
100%. And that's, you were talking about connecting with the inner light. Share with us about that.
Well, I guess that's the kind of ethos of what I do. So my organisation is called The Spark Movement. I started by writing a book called The Spark. Hopefully that will be out soon. And it's that kind of idea of what is that, you could call it inner light, you might call it your authentic self or your creative self, whatever you want to call it. And I think we all have that. And it just, at times, can easily get eroded. And I literally saw that happening with the children and the young people that I worked with. And I couldn't quite put my finger on what is this thing that's happening. I could just see it before my very eyes. And it was like something was getting shut down in them.
Okay.
And that kind of light in their eyes. You know, when you see a kid that's really sparky and they're full of energy, particularly younger ones, primary school is full of it.
You're right.
And then that transition from primary to secondary, I was starting to see it's going out.
You're right.
And sometimes I think that light then doesn't get reignited. And that means we've lost a beautiful gift that was meant to be shared with the world, because that child has a light to share.
You're right.
Whatever it is. So that to me is the kind of essence of the spark, and how can we, you know, keep that spark lit to create the right conditions to allow children to hang on to what is actually inherent within them. That's what they were born with. You can see it so plainly. And how do we stop it from being dimmed in the first place? And I guess that is my life's work.
And so in the book, give us something like maybe just a nugget one that kind of like teachers, youth workers, parents could just capture.
I guess first of all, it's to recognise there is a spark, so then you can see if it's gone out. And I suppose it goes back to what I was saying right at the very beginning. We as adults have to recognise that we set the tone for all of this. So if we're not connected to our spark, it's very difficult for that child to maintain a connection to theirs.
You're right.
So whether it's, you know, at home or in school or a community or a youth setting, whatever it is, you know, I have to show up as my full self and to bring that energy. And sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I'm tired and I haven't had my coffee and, you know, whatever else. But I have to consciously choose, actually, I need to step up here. I need to express that. Where is my passion? I chose to do this work for a reason. Okay, let's bring it.
You're right.
And the children, the young people will automatically feel that sense of energy before you even say a single word, I think.
You're right.
It's palpable.
100%.
You know, you get this. 100%. I know you get this.
Yeah. They pick it up.
100%, yeah. And so then it's about us maintaining that, but creating those conditions, like you were saying about those young people, for them to be vulnerable enough and to have the courage then to express that. And the older they get, the harder that is for them, because of peer pressure and the dynamics and adolescence and all the stuff that comes with it. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But if we can get them to maintain that connection through that point, then when they get to adulthood, they're onto a winner. It's so much easier.
Yeah. Wow. Because you were saying about, like, you know, so you work across classrooms, non-profits, global charities. What was the biggest lessons about sustaining the spark over 2 decades, do you think like?
I think my biggest lessons have come from the children. And so all through my career, I thought I was in a position where I was supposed to be teaching them something. You know, you're going in, you're thinking, you know, as a teacher or a youth worker or whatever role you're playing, I'm teaching them something.
Yeah.
I'm here for, this is my agenda. I've been told to go and do X, Y, Z. And now when I look back, I think it's always the other way around. And I've learned so much from these young people. And actually, I could tell you a little story if you don't mind.
Yeah, go on.
So years ago, I was asked to, this was just before COVID, I was asked to work with a group of young people who'd all been excluded from high school. Bad behaviour, disruptive, etc., etc. And so they didn't know what to do with them. So they sent them to a local college to go and do a hair and beauty course, whether they were interested in it or not.
Okay.
So these 14-year-olds showed up and I was asked to go in and teach them about personal and social health education. So, you know, all the stuff that we've been talking about, but they said, right, talk about drugs and alcohol and safe relationships, and these are all issues. And I was thinking, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? So I go in and there's a table and they're all sort of slumped around it and everyone's on their phones, and I'm thinking, this is not going to work. This is...
Welcome.
And I'm there and smiling like, come on guys, let's do this. And they're just looking at me.
Yeah.
And there was one girl in particular, and I can picture her now. And, you know, you're not supposed to have favourites, but sometimes you do, you know, they just
stand out.
Yeah. And she was a natural leader. She was full of spark. You could literally see it. And I'm trying to get them to talk about something of use. And I think we ended up talking about drugs and alcohol. And one of the other girls was bragging, you know, we went to this party on Saturday night. We were so drunk and we were taking this and that. And she was talking about really, really unsafe behaviour. And the other girl said, oh yeah, I was taking these drugs and da 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 da. And I said, well, I could see they were sort of testing me out, like, can I say this? Because I'm not supposed to. And I thought, well, let's have this conversation. And so I asked her, I said, well, why did you want to do that? And she said, oh, it just feels so lush, doesn't it? And I was trying to dig a bit deeper. And I was like, well, what exactly about it? And she went on to say something, words to the effect of, I just feel like I'm connected to everyone and everything. And in that moment, oh gosh, it makes me feel emotional just thinking about it now. In that moment, I realised what she was saying is she feels a sense of love, like that is the moment that she gets that connection and she's not finding it anywhere else. And I knew a bit about the backgrounds of these kids. And then the other girl, who was full of spark, suddenly her phone starts to ring. And they're not supposed to have phones, but, you know, at least they're sitting around the table. So she just picks up the phone and she goes, and I think, all right, I've lost her now, trying to hold on to these ones. And I can see her, she's full of attitude, you know, she's kind of like this, and she's on the phone. And then all of a sudden, she throws the phone across the room, she bursts into tears and she runs out, and I'm like, what's happening? And the whole thing is chaos. Everyone goes after her, we've lost them all. And afterwards, I asked the youth worker, I said, what is going on? And they said, well, she's got a much older boyfriend, much older. He's a man, she's a young girl. And we know that he's abusive and there's dynamics going on. And I'm thinking, what the heck? You know, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
they said, oh, we've made safeguarding referrals. And it was a little bit like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I saw that girl's spark literally just get crushed in front of my very eyes.
Yeah.
And I got in my car after that session and I sat there and I cried. And I just felt like, what am I here for? What is the purpose of this? You know, what can I do for these kids? And I realised afterwards, I was reflecting on it when I was writing the book, actually, I wrote about this, and I just thought, these young people are teaching me so much.
So good.
And it's my responsibility now to spread that. You know, I don't want any kid to be in that situation where they're losing that spark.
Yeah, right.
So I have to show up. And this is the one thing she said to me, actually. She'd say, I don't know why you bother coming here, but fair play, every week you show up with a smile on your face.
Consistency.
Consistency. And that smile, please, let me get through this.
Consistency.
But you know what? I thought that's a small measure of care.
Yeah, even that, what you're saying, thanks so much for sharing, but this is the stuff we're talking about. That emotional, conscious intelligence, I like that. I think I'm taking that.
You can take
conscious intelligence is becoming conscious of what is important.
Yeah.
Fair play to you, you keep coming. That situation occurred, so she's already thankful that you are there before she even said, but fair play to you. You know?
And I took it.
Fair play to you. She's expressing thank you for being consistent. Thank you for being adaptable. Thank you for being flexible. Thank you for being approachable. Thank you for being this person that we draw from.
Right.
Thank you. And the unsaid things is fair play to you.
Yeah.
You coming, you consistent. At least you are consistent.
Right, because no one else is.
No one, and they just put us with these people, and then so-and-so comes and says, it's not working. But fair play to you that you are showing up here. And that comes through what happened there. Some kids share through their behavior.
Right.
They share like, hey, I'm thankful that you are here. And you're right. I learned so much. Again, with Ruben here. Even just this morning when we came, I asked him a question, I said, brother, how can we do stuff better? And I said to him, most adults will ask you a question. In their mind, they're hoping that you'll take their answer.
Yeah, yes, it's so true.
But when you change a different way, they'll be like, oh, but how did you get there? And now it becomes very defensive.
Right.
If the question is posed, leave it to them to be as either this or this. There is freedom.
Yeah.
So when he shared with different apps, I said to him, brother, you got to teach me, man. You know,
I love that.
Because it is, like you said, we all are evolving. We all are creating these shifts, and we all want to get to where we need to get. And the shift helps you to get there.
Right.
So if I'm now letting him know that, listen, I know everything. I'm transferring, or I am transmitting to him that you must always be right. And your view must always be right. Protect your view. No, I'm saying that this is the vulnerability that I value you so much, that there's some things in you that will help create the spark in me.
I love it.
And that's the thing, what I just don't get sometimes when we get too much work, we got too much this, and the pressure is too much this. Listen, count the cost before you build.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go into it, don't go into it.
And I think just so much of this is based on fear, because as adults, we've all been conditioned to think we've got to have the power and control everything. You know, and all the things that you're talking about is giving up some power and thinking, well, I don't know what these young people are going to say, or I don't know how he's going to be. You know, to say that I can learn from you is sharing that power, isn't it?
100%.
And this is what we need from us as individuals, but also across all of our systems. It's like getting away from the old hierarchies, the right and wrong. You know, the higher up the chain you are, the more power you have, and the more knowledge. And
No. It's like we're all, is that Ubuntu, we're all in this together,
right.
Each one teach one. And so therefore I'm here to be taught, and you are here for the same. And I say to young people, it's not about what you can get, it's about what you get to give.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Because when you know your values, I show up today with, that's why I say I value you so much, because there's similarities that we have that is like, now if we could sit here and all this joy comes out of us, it's because that sparks this spark, and vice versa. And so if this is a community, if there is like me, you, Ruben, so and so, and this whole spark, there's no time for bullying, there's no time for beefing on Snapchat, there's no time for this, you know what I mean, who she's better than he. All of us are running our own lane, and there's a responsibility that I show up in the world with this, you show up with that, you show up with this. It's just beautiful. Yeah. And so why would I now want to have what you have if you love giving what you have?
That's beautiful.
So I don't know, it's just common sense for me.
It is common sense, but it's not common practice.
It's not common. And that's why for me, being a youth practitioner, one girl said to me, that came onto the podcast as well, she said to me, she came into the session and she said, Ricardo, I've been thinking about you. You know what? I've never heard you talk bad about people behind their backs. I was like, where did you just get that? Where did you get that from?
That's nice.
I'm quite intrigued by that. I said, so what are you taking from that? She said, I could maybe learn just more to be a bit more understanding. And that was it. That was the end of it. And I was thinking, oh my days, they are learning. It's the unsaid things that we do. They keep hearing what we're saying. And then how can I now correct her for talking bad about people? And she's like, yeah, but hold on a minute. I saw that with you. No, I don't want kids to say to their parents and friends, I learned this from Ricardo. Disrespect, I learned it from Ricardo. Not seeing value in people, I learned it from him. No, you won't get that from me. I love myself too much. I got too much respect for myself and too much self-love and compassion and self-talk. I have that.
That's beautiful.
I have to show up with a spark. And whatever you take from it, go and ignite and spark other people's lives, and just like jumping cables. If your car, like, I'll just jump and then take it off. It's like, off you go to where you go and spark somebody else, you know?
I got a great visual of that. Yeah. But, you know, we can say like, oh, well, let's do a lesson about these things and we'll teach you and we'll do some activities. And it just doesn't work. It's all implicit, isn't it? She picked that up. She reflected on it from your behaviour, not because you said, I never talk badly about people behind it. You know, it's constantly being transmitted.
That's the stuff that makes me cry, because that's the stuff when I get in my car and I cry tears of joy because it always stems from my mother. Now I see what she meant when she says, how can you make other people's lives better without you getting anything in return?
Oh, that's good.
It's not about what you get in return. Yeah. It's about what you get to give. You were born for this. This spark in you, you're serving the world with it. Whether they acknowledge it, whether they give you money for it, whether they don't give you money for it, it's not about that. But when you are no longer here, your legacy will continue.
That's beautiful, because that's taking the ego out, right?
Taking the ego out.
Because the ego says, well, what am I going to get in return? Or, you know, well, they need to thank me for that. It's like, no. Your job is to just be yourself and to shine whatever you want to do and share and be your passion. And that's where it ends. And how other people respond to it is not our business.
100%. And maybe some of you may be thinking that a brother got to pay bills, a sister got to pay bills. Of course, you've got to pay your bills, but that comes from you. It's deserving that you need to get paid.
Yes.
But it's not you must pay. For me, it's always like I get to give to the world. As a young boy in South Africa, not knowing where I will end up, my values, the spark, that inner spark, understanding that with this spark, I get to do this. And I am where I am today because it's not because I climbed the ladder and pushing people down so I can get up. It is all people that know me will say, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
Because it is in Cape Town, it's like this. It's just a different location.
Yeah.
It's just different people.
Yeah.
But it's the same consistency.
Consistency.
That's why I just say, fair play to you. At least your smile, your consistency. Sometimes we're not motivated, but discipline and good, healthy habits gets us to come here, even though it's raining. You came with your umbrella.
Like Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, yeah, you know. But yeah, just a quick one in terms of Inner Spark, because I came, the Spark movement, you did that. And what I love about you is everything. Now you're talking about this conscious intelligence and values, and in your work in America and in the UK and in your books is the essence of you.
Yeah.
And so with the Spark, I came to you gave me opportunity to speak there, loved it, and now you got your podcast. But tell people about the podcast and also the for leaders maybe out there who could maybe come. You should come on this one seriously. That first event, powerful.
The Changemaker events, yeah. So under the Spark movement, so the idea is that hopefully this will spark a movement of change for children, young people. But really, it's about how can we create better future for all of us, right? For the future of humanity. It sounds a bit grandiose, but that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So there's three kind of elements. So it's working with parents and carers, with educators and schools, and we talked a lot about that. And the third element is about change makers. So people like yourself who are changing the world in some way. And that means you're putting your spark into action. And that could be related to young people like mine is, but it could become something completely different, but it's having that legacy on future generations. And so I ended up hosting a series of events, and you came and spoke at the first one, which was amazing. And the idea was just about bringing people together who are change makers or who want to be a change maker. I think we all are actually in our individual ways, and creating a sense of community around it. But then somebody suggested, well, actually, you can only reach so many people by doing these events in person,
You're right.
although the energy is really powerful, and suggested that create a podcast because you can kind of spread it a bit further.
You're right.
So that's what we're doing now. So the Spark Changemakers podcast. And it's such a gift to be able to interview, you came on the show recently, just people who are so inspiring from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, they're not showing up on the news. They're not going to be front page of the newspaper, but they are doing amazing work to put their spark into action, and they're making tangible differences. And the ripple effects of that is huge.
Yeah.
You know, and we see so much negativity, but it's never balanced with the positive.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what the podcast is all about, really.
Man, fantastic. I also, just something came to mind. I will also want to give a big shout out to Anne-Marie, is it? What a legend. And I saw her like at the first, the Spark, the Changemakers.
Yeah.
And now she's doing great.
She's doing amazing
She's
work,
doing fantastic.
particularly with boys and young men, and thinking about the cycles of violence that happen, intergenerational trauma.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that work is so profound. And again, she's very humble about it, and it's about creating those right conditions and bringing people together.
100%.
And she really focuses on co-designing and co-creating a solution with boys. You know, because what we often do is say, well, that behaviour's bad. You know, you're being misogynistic, it's toxic masculinity. Like, that doesn't resonate at all.
No.
So it's like, actually, what has made you have these kind of beliefs and values, and who are you really, and how can we create that shift?
100%.
So yeah, she's doing amazing work.
And you have to sit with them.
Yeah.
You have to sit, be prepared to sit there and just take in no judgment, just there, because maybe a trusted adult weren't really trusted.
Exactly.
They weren't supposed to be trusted in that aspect. And so the belief systems become something where we because we don't have time really to sit with people and say, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, just sit. Fair play to you, at least. I like that. Fair play to you. You keep coming. You're consistent. And
you can imagine smiling. It, right?
Yeah,
they're kind of like
smiling. But fair play to you. Some of them,
that's exactly as it was.
They come, but they're like, fair play to you. We give you a yellow star for effort.
I took it.
You know what I mean?
Took it.
And so, Nikki, you are absolute inspiration. When is the book coming out?
Soon, I hope. So it's with an agent at the moment.
Yeah.
So my other books are out there. It's
Yeah.
under, if you search Nikki Giant on Amazon,
Yeah.
you'll find all my other books, which are more kind of educational focused. There's books about bullying, preventing bullying, keeping kids safe online, coaching kids, all of that is out there. And then the website is thesparkmovement.com and everything is on there, including the podcast.
100%. If we could give somebody a message today in terms of like, how can they create shifts for themselves, that spark that they have in them, and some of it, maybe it's dim.
Yeah.
What encouragement would you give them in terms of just igniting that spark for themselves?
I think it's about one, recognizing that you've got a spark, recognizing if it's been dimmed. We're all living in a really chaotic time right now, and I think people are facing some of the worst that they probably ever experienced. That's how it feels at the moment. So, recognizing actually that is happening and giving yourself what you need through that time. But just find like those tiny little moments that spark a bit of joy in you.
Yeah.
And it could just be listening to some sort of comedy or, I was editing the podcast that we created. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun making that. And that just sparked it right back off for me.
Right,
but,
right.
whether it's picking up a pencil and doing some drawing, if that's what you used to love. What did you used to love doing as a young child? I think that's often the kind of key.
Right.
And just creating those little moments and let that kind of escalate and grow a little bit.
We're proud of you. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. And wow, I told you, Nikki is such a blessing, Get that spark going again. Get that spark going again and take something this week and create one shift. Just one spark can ignite that whole kind of your abilities, your creativity. It can just ignite the passion back. So thank you so much for joining us this week and catch you on the next one. Peace.